Many thanks to the channel members, Rafi Ultron and Brian Bierce, for their valuable support to this project. That said, let's begin with the video.
At another time, Akina reflects, incredulous, that he can't believe it. A girl with an adorable, slightly childlike face and a slender, well-shaped body with such defined curves that she could easily be mistaken for a model. She gives the impression of being a normal and healthy young woman. But Setsuna Rikudu is the girl who defeated a male heavyweight champion. Right after recalling that, Rikudu asks why he's looking at her like that and if he's fallen in love. The young man, a bit nervous, replies that no, that would never happen. However, he remembers again that after the fight, the unconscious fighter was left in the care of the academy team, and they left. Apparently, he would wake up later. The girl asks who he's fighting today and offers to secretly cheer him on. But Akina can't help but question how she can act so normal. He clearly remembers that she beat a heavyweight champion. Even though he knows she doesn't care about titles, he wants to know if she felt anything different after defeating someone so incredibly strong. She, a bit confused, asks if Fuwa was really that strong. Akina replies that of course he was, that he was a heavyweight champion. He reminds her that Fuwa made her fly through the air several times and asks if she doesn't remember. Rikudu admits that Fuwa's strength and skills were impressive, but adds that that was all. She assures that Fuwa had a big disadvantage in that fight. He couldn't kill her. Akina, surprised, asks what she means by that. She explains that in the end, she's the undisputed champion of middle school boy fights. If something had happened to her, if she had died or been seriously injured, it wouldn't be seen as an accident, which would mean the end of Fuwa's career. That's why, even when he was in a dominant position, Fuwa couldn't finish her. He was always holding back, trying not to hurt her. He was bound by social expectations, and that disadvantage was greater than any physical difference. She also points out that violence is not just about punches and kicks. According to her, Fuwa was weak when it came to real violence. At that moment, someone cuts in saying what she just said was pretty harsh. It turns out to be Fuwa himself who had heard everything. Rikudo, seeing him, is happy and quickly asks if he came for a rematch, assuring him she's more than ready. But he smiles and says he'll let it slide this time, though he'd like to chat a bit. He tells her that after they left, the place went into total chaos. His coach went crazy, saying that if word got out that he lost to a student, his market value would plummet. Rikudu says that sounds complicated, to which Fuwa replies not to talk as if it wasn't her fault. However, he lowers his gaze and turns around. Then he grabs Rikudu by the shoulders and asks if she'd be interested in becoming a professional MMA fighter. She immediately replies absolutely not. Fuwa admits he expected that answer, but says it's a shame. He believes she could even become a world champion. Still, he accepts that things are the way they are. He confesses that he gave everything to become the strongest in the world and fully dedicated himself to MMA. Physical training, technical practice, strategy analysis, and studying opponents' habits. Thanks to that, even as an amateur, he was unbeatable. But at some point, winning became his only goal. Soon, judges started evaluating how to win professionally with strategy and control. Then he asks Rikudu what goes through her mind when she fights. She answers that it's obvious, confessing that she thinks if she can finish off the person in front of her, that would be best. Fuwa, seeing her expression, tells her that her face is one of a kind. He confesses that being the strongest MMA fighter was his greatest dream. But at some point, he got used to the rules of the professional world. Upon hearing that, Rikudu asks if he plans to quit MMA. He replies no, that the strongest fighter he admired that day only exists in the ring. He believes the world MMA champion must truly be the strongest. That's why, when he becomes world champion, he wants her to fight him again. Rikudu, smiling, replies of course that she's available anytime. They bump fists, sealing a new friendship. Thus, it is revealed that after that encounter, Fuwa changed. He went from being a calculating fighter to becoming a wild and violent one. 3 years later, he became world champion. But before that happened, Rikudu asked Akina to enter an underground fight tournament, which left the boy completely shocked. She explains that underground martial arts are tournaments where criminals, biker gangs, and all kinds of dangerous people gather. Akina replies that if it's that risky, he doesn't want anything to do with it. But Rikudu tells him she doesn't care and will sign him up for the right tournament anyway. Akina, hearing her, says he thinks they're skipping a few steps. However, she assures him it's okay. She reminds him that he's much stronger now, that he even beat that delinquent, asking if he remembers. He nods and admits he might lose, but at least he'll give his best for a good fight. To which his friend replies with determination that she'll bet on him. At another time, Akita reflects that in the past, violence was simply a primitive desire. On the other hand, techniques were the result of human intelligence, something that goes against instincts, a complete contradiction. There is only one way both things can become compatible: honest discipline. That's why he starts training, telling himself he must hit the same target again and again. No homework, no friends, no girls, he just wants to train. But then he wonders, why did he want to learn from her? He remembers that rage and humiliation mean nothing. That's why if he hits Setsuna Rikudu, it'll feel good. He reflects that for that one reason, he's enduring all this training. So, at school, Rikudu announces they're going to begin. She immediately charges at him, starting the training, or rather, hitting him. With one blow, she knocks him down. Then she explains that today's lesson is a liver punch. Due to its sensitivity, getting hit there causes extreme pain. She comments that it's almost like a kick to the groin, although she confesses she has no idea what that actually feels like. Akita, recovering from the hit, yells, demanding that she at least explain the technique before demonstrating it. He knows she promised to teach him to fight, but he didn't expect to become her punching bag. She replies that he learns faster when his body remembers the pain, but he insists it seems like she just wants to hit him. Even so, he admits he doesn't care as long as she really teaches him something, because all he knows is a low kick. Then the girl asks if he wants to train with repetitions. Akita replies it's not like he has another choice. Rikudu nods, assuring him it's okay, that he'll definitely get stronger. And so, they continue the training. Akita reflects that there's a good reason to endure such torturous training. The underground fight is approaching. Then he remembers when he asked Rikudu about her participation in an underground fight. He replied that he didn't really know what that was, and she simply said it was an underground fight. Akita replied that he understood that part, but didn't understand why it had to be underground, saying it sounded scary. He even jokes that someone could pull a knife or bring a lion into the ring. Rikudu laughs and says those ideas sound like they're from a manga. Then she promises to sum up the concept. She explains that an underground fight is a match held without official authorization. It originated from MMA clubs that hosted their own matches outside of the federations. Over time, some criminals started getting involved. During that period of uncertainty, many groups emerged and disappeared. But the underground world remained stable. Amateur MMA fighters replaced the more problematic ones, and nowadays, many fighters wanted by the industry have gained fame through live streams. That's why there are currently various amateur tournaments. It all depends on the event. She adds that Akita's fight will be broadcasted, and that high school fighters like him can gain popularity. She even jokes that if he wins, he might become more popular with the girls, which lifts his spirits a bit. He reflects that it's worth trying to test his strength, and that if it's not a serious MMA tournament, at least he'll get to see some interesting fights. Then Rikudu raises her voice and says it's time to give it his all. The day of the event finally arrives, and they both show up at the place where the underground fight will be held. Akita, visibly nervous, calls out to Rikudu. She tells him that this is the Bachi Bachi underground fight group. She reveals that the business is a front for illegal activities and that its main source of income comes from the Yakuza. Although she clarifies that those are just rumors, since half of the fighters were arrested and then placed under house arrest. With a smile, she adds that they're going to have a lot of fun in that tournament. Akita, outraged, tells her to stop joking about it. He points at the fighters and asks if she brought him there to die. He immediately says he's leaving, but she asks him to wait. She encourages him, saying that if he shows his true power, he'll win. She guarantees it. Akita asks on what basis she says that. Then Rikudu tells him to look at his opponent. She reveals he looks like someone from the Japanese mafia, which terrifies the boy even more, and he says it's decided, he's leaving now.